Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday so far. I'm doing pretty good. I just woke up. It is 7 in the morning. Yeah, that's a first. Me with a normal sleep schedule. I don't think I've seen this happen in like years, dude. This is insane. But yeah, if I sound a little bit tired, that's because I actually did like just wake up. I literally rolled out of bed, brushed my teeth, and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to record a long ass video because why not? So today's story time, it's a good one. It's been one I've been holding on to for quite a while now. And I actually have a few friends that are involved in this story time that always ask me if I've told it yet. And I'm always like, no, not yet. I'll get to it. No, not yet. And I've been holding on to it because it's a longer one, kind of like the one I told yesterday. And I wanted to kind of save it because I knew it was good. And I don't know why I was saving it because it's like, you know, if it's good, just put it out. You know, I don't know what saving it does. Sometimes I treat my stories like a mother treating their child going off to college for the first time. It's like you don't want them to go. Anyway, yeah, today's a good one. It's a very good one, and I think it's time we just jump into it. So yeah, leave a like on the video if you enjoy this, and let's just get into it. So, as I said earlier, this story time involves a few people, some friends of mine. Now, I'll give them some names. We'll call them Brandon, Christian, and Joe, okay? Brandon, Christian, and Joe. These three friends of mine, I have been friends with for a very long time. I am still friends with all of them to this day. Very good friends of mine, some of my first friends in high school. And the funny part about it is I only met one of them in high school. The other two I met online, like playing Xbox together through like mutual friends in my hometown. And then we all just ended up becoming like friends and hanging out all the time in real life. And yeah, it's just, they're good friends, right? Now this story time takes place in 2019. Now that year was a very good year for me. Like 2019 is probably like my second favorite year of all time, right next to like 2016. I don't know what it was about it. Something about it. That year was very exciting. It was very fun. There was something in the air. I loved it. Now, the next part about this is going to sound kind of strange, but I also really like this year because all of my best friends were unemployed this year for some reason. And I know some of you are like, dude, what the fuck? Why is that a good thing? It's not a good thing for them, I would say, but it was for me because my job is YouTube. So I just post a video every day and that's my job. I'm literally the most spoiled, luckiest man on earth. I do not take this for granted every day. I love y'all. Thank you. Like, dream job. But the thing is, when I'm done with it for the day and I'm done reading my comments and, you know, I'm just like chilling there on my computer, I get bored. And this year, all of my friends were unemployed, so they would just be at my house all the time. So like every time I was done with my YouTube shit for the day or I'd be done streaming and I'd have really like nothing to do, they'd just pull up and we'd go get into some bullshit. We'd just go get into some fucking shenanigans and do some fucking stupid shit. And it was like a win-win for me because I got to have fun with my friends and also more story times came out of it because I was out having fun with my friends and funny, crazy things were happening. So one day in 2019, right, I just finished working on a video. I was done with that. I was reading some comments, you know, just doing my thing. Every time I post a video, I usually read the comments on that video for the first like hour or two. And then afterwards, I check out older videos and read those comments. I say it a lot, but I do read my comments, as many as I can. So yeah, if you leave a comment, you know, especially on a newer video in the first couple hours, definitely good chance of me seeing it. So be nice. I usually check them like the first hour or two after the video's up. And then the next day, as soon as I wake up, usually the first thing I do in the morning is scroll my comments. So yeah, you know, that's my like times where I read them. So now you know. But yeah, I made this video. I was reading the comments. I was just hanging out in my apartment, not really doing a whole lot, right? And none other than my homie Brandon hits me up. Brandon was one of those three friends I talked about earlier, one of my best friends. He hits me up and he's like, yo, man, what's good? To which I responded and I was like, nothing, dude. Just chilling, you know, reading some YouTube comments, not doing a whole lot. He's like, yo, I'm fucking starving. Are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, bro. He's like, you want to get food? I was like, bro, I'm so down. He's like, all right, bet, let me hit up the others. The others being Joe and Christian. We kind of had this like dynamic as friends. Like usually if one of us were hanging out with the other, we'd always invite everyone else. And we'd almost always all be together. So yeah, it was like kind of a given that he'd invite them as well. So anyway, he hit them up and they were down to get food as well. So before I knew it, all three of them pulled up to my house. Or my apartment, I should say. Brandon was driving, so he pulled up. They were in the car already. I went outside, met them out there, got in. We start driving around, trying to figure out some food. And we had this problem a lot. We just couldn't figure shit out. We did not know where we wanted to eat. It got to a point where we drove around for like 45 minutes trying to figure it out. And we were all like low-key kind of arguing about it. I wanted Italian food, okay? And I'm biased. I'm Italian, all right? I'm biased. So, you know, no surprise that I wanted that. My other friends, one of them wanted Taco Bell. I did not want Taco Bell because I had eaten that like every night at 2 a.m. for like a month straight. I still do that shit. So Taco Bell in the day is just not my vibe. It just hits better at like 2 a.m. in my opinion. My other homie wanted to get cheeseburgers. You know, everyone just wanted something different, right? And we all just really couldn't come to a conclusion. So finally, I just gave up. I was like, you know what? Whatever y'all want to do, I'm down with. Like, fuck the Italian food. I'll get it later or something. Let's just get whatever y'all want to get. Because we'd get nowhere if we all just kept arguing. So after I kind of like stepped out of this argument, they all just kept arguing for the next like 10 to 20 minutes. And finally, after almost an hour of arguing, everyone finally comes to a conclusion. And guess what the conclusion was? Fucking pizza, dude. We didn't even like settle on anything anyone wanted. We all ended up getting pizza, which was what nobody said they wanted. Wasn't Taco Bell, wasn't a cheeseburger, wasn't Italian. Actually, wait. Pizza is Italian food, isn't it? I guess I won. Here I am 6 years later, realizing things about this story. Anyway, so we got pizza, right? We went to this pizza place, not too far from where we lived. Very good spot. Loved it. We went there a lot. And we're just sitting there. And while we're eating, we start trying to think of things to do after we eat. And now like a whole other like debate starts happening because we don't know what we want to do afterwards. Me personally, I didn't have any ideas whatsoever, so I was just kind of leaving it up to them. But they were all like debating on different things. Like Brandon wanted to try and like go to this like amusement park, which was like kind of silly to me because they were going to close soon. Like the park was only going to be open for like another 2 hours. And if we went there with all the lines and shit, we'd probably ride like 2 rides. So thought that was kind of not a good idea. Joe wanted to go to some abandoned building. We didn't want to do that. Christian brought up the idea of going rollerblading at one point, which none of us knew how to do. So we didn't want to do that because, you know, not trying to break my ankle. So we really didn't know what we wanted to do. And finally, after once again, like 20 minutes of going back and forth with everybody, finally, someone comes up with a pretty interesting idea. Christian was like, yo, why don't we go to this spot? So about 45 minutes from where I grew up, there's this park that is connected to a very big tourist attraction. I don't want to say which tourist attraction it is because it'll kind of just like dox me and tell you where I grew up and where I live in near currently. But essentially, there's a very big tourist attraction near where I live, and there's a park connected to it. And a lot of people go to this park, and it's a very beautiful park. And surrounding this park, there's a lot of really nice restaurants and like kind of like attractions, you know, like cool restaurants. There's some rides, casinos, shit like that. So yeah, we all kind of just decided like that'd be a good idea. Why not? We'll go check that place out. Maybe like get some dessert over there. Maybe check out a casino. Like that seemed like the move. So we all jump in the car and we start this journey to this park about 45 minutes away. And I was pretty damn excited. I can't lie. I was very damn excited because I hadn't been to this place in a very long time. I used to go here a lot as a kid. So like going there for the first time in a while, I was pretty excited. Now we get about halfway through the drive and Brandon starts being like, yo, I got to pull over. I have to piss really bad. Hold on. I'm going to stop at this gas station real quick. So we pull over at this gas station and we walk into this little like, you know, convenience store / gas station. Brandon's outside pumping his gas. I'm grabbing a Snickers bar because your boy was feeling sugar cravings, you know? So I went in there to get my Snickers on and I grab a water and a Snickers bar and I go up to the counter and this lady's standing there and she's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, pretty good. How about you? And she's like, not bad, not bad. What you guys up to today? Having fun? And I was like, yeah, we're actually going to, and I told her where we're going. She's like, oh, there's a lot of fun stuff over there. I was like, yeah, I know, right? I'm excited. And she's like, yeah, cool. Like, what are you guys going to get up to over there? Like, anything planned? And I was like, we might get dessert, and then we might hit a casino. And she kind of gave me a look. She gave me a look of, like, a casino. And I was like, what, is that bad? She's like, no, like, how old are you guys? And I told her, I was like, oh, I'm like 20. They're like 19, 20. She goes, okay, so pro tip, all the casinos over there are 21 plus, but there's an 18 plus one, like 20 minutes in that direction. And I was like, oh shit, really? She's like, yeah, it's called this. And she says the name. And I look it up and she's not kidding. For some reason, all the casinos over there are 21 plus, which is fine. Obviously, I agree with that. But for some reason, there was an 18 plus casino, like 20 minutes in the other direction. So I went out to my friends and I was like, yo, this lady in there just gave me the hookup. She said that we can't get into most of the ones over by, you know, this park we're going to, but there is one that would let us all in not too far from here. And they're all like, what? Like, why? And I was like, I don't know the rules, but for some reason, this one's 18 plus and the other ones aren't. So we end up mapping where this other casino is. And the lady was right. It was like 20 minutes in the other direction. So we mapped it and we're like, fuck it, let's do it. We decided to take this random pit stop at this casino and then hit the tourist attraction after. So while we're in the car on the way to this casino, I start like Googling why this one's 18 plus and the other ones aren't. And I really didn't figure it out too much other than just like, so the 18 plus one only had slots. There was no like blackjack, no poker, no like card games at all, just slots. And it was ran by like the state, I think, like the state lottery. So for some reason, like that allowed them to do it 18 plus. I don't know, man. It was weird. I still don't really fully understand it, but for some reason, this casino is 18 plus and the other ones are 21. And the 18 plus one is still a thing. Every time I meet someone that's like under 21 and they're like, oh, I want to go there. I'm like, nah, just don't stay away from that shit, bro. Like You'll have plenty of time to lose your money in your 20s. Don't do it at 18 on some unk shit. Anyway, we pull up to this casino. We get there. This place was fucking sick. I can't lie. It was pretty cool looking. We go inside, and it's got that like casino smell. I don't know if you've ever been in a casino. I think most of my audience is probably not. But if you have, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the smell of like alcohol and like smoke and shame because people are losing thousands of dollars and sadness. It's an interesting smell and look. But yeah, we get in there, and immediately I pulled out some money from the ATM. I pulled out $200, and I remember I looked at all my friends, and I was like, guys, $200 is my absolute limit. Do not let me gamble more. Stop me if I try and pull out any more money. And literally all my homies, fucking Brandon, Joe, Christian, they were like, oh, dude, we got you, bro. Like, don't worry, 200, hard limit, we got you. And they all pulled out about $100. Now, earlier in the story, I said they were all unemployed, and they were. Don't know where they got $100 from, but, you know, I'm not asking questions, whatever. Guess they all had some savings. So after this, we start gambling. We start going to slots and spinning and you know, gambling our money. And you want to guess what happened? Within 10 minutes, I lost all $200, bro. It took 10 fucking minutes. Sad was an understatement. I was very upset. I was like, bro, are we fucking for real right now? Like, it wasn't even fun. I only had 10 minutes to play with it. Like, listen, I understand it's a casino, and you should walk in there knowing that you're probably going to lose. But, like, I at least want to have, like, 30 minutes of fun, you know? I don't want to, like, lose it in 5 to 10 minutes. That sucks. So, yeah, when I lost the shit in 10 minutes, I was pretty upset. And I was like, you know what? 50 more bucks won't hurt. $50. If I lose, then it's only $250 for the night. It's not that much above my limit. I should be okay, right? And I tell my friends this, and they're like, oh, well, you said 200, like, hard limit. It's not a good idea. And I didn't listen. I was like, nah, man, you know what? Like, $50, not a big deal. And I pulled 50 out. Now, obviously, don't do this. That right there is how people lose all their money at casinos. They're like, oh, you know, it won't hurt to do a little bit more. Oh, wait, a little bit more won't hurt. And before you know it, you're down thousands. So don't fucking do that. Honestly, do yourself a favor and just don't step foot in a casino ever. It's the biggest fucking scam on earth. Anyway, yeah, I fell for the trap and I went to the ATM and I pulled out $50 more. And you want to guess what happened to that $50 more? I lost it in fucking like 5 minutes, bro. You want to guess what happened after that? I pulled out more money and then more money and then more money. And you want to guess what happened by the end of the night? Like an hour or two later, I'm down $1,200 fucking dollars, dude. Angry, depressed, upset, whatever fucking word you want to use to describe how I was feeling, it all, you know, fits. I was not happy. I was not happy one bit. And all of my friends were also not happy because remember how they pulled out 100? Yeah, they were all losing as well. So before I knew it, they pulled out like 300. So I'm down like 1,200. My friends are down like 300 or more. Everything's just not good, right? Everyone's not having a good time. We're all pissed off. And finally, after being down so much, I just looked up at all of them and I was like, yo, we should get the fuck out of here. This place sucks. And they were all like, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. So we stood up and we walked out the door to our car, got in, and we just started driving quietly out of the parking lot onto the street so that we can then go to the original destination, which was this park / like tourist attraction area where I lived. And I can't lie, that drive there, like after leaving the casino, was very depressing. We were like just quiet for like the first like 5 minutes. And finally I broke the silence and I was like, yo, that was ass. And Brandon turns around, he's like, bro, never again. And Christian's like, I had fun. And Brandon looks over at him, he's like, bro, what was fun about losing hundreds of dollars? And Christian's like, I don't know, it was fun to play the games. Meanwhile, Joe's just sitting there silently looking just depressed. Casinos blow, man, just don't go. They just suck so much balls. Anyway, we left the casino. It was a very awkward drive for the first like 10 to 15 minutes afterwards. We were just all so like bummed. But then eventually, you know, we started playing some music and talking and kind of getting out of that funk we were in after losing our money. At least most people were. As for me, I wasn't quite out of it. I lost $1,200, man. You can do a lot with $1,200, dude. You can really do a lot. That's rent for some people. That's, you know, groceries for some people, for families. You could buy a brand new computer with that money. There's so many ways to spend $1,200 that I could think of right now on the spot that are better than walking into a casino and fucking losing it. So yeah, I was pretty upset with myself. I can't lie. I wasn't even mad at the casino or the gambling. I was mad that I made that choice. I'm like, yo, you're an idiot, Austin. Like, you're a fucking moron, Austin, you dumb fuck. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So we drive to this spot, right? This park that I was talking about earlier, this big, you know, touristy spot. And we get there and this shit was packed. Like I said, this is a big tourist attraction. A lot of people fly in from all over the place to go check this place out near where I live. and it's a big tourist attraction. So when we got there was at least 50 to 60 people in this park just walking around, taking pictures with their family and getting food and hanging out, right? And at this point, it's kind of nighttime, so it was cool. There was lights on, and it was very pretty looking. And we were kind of getting hungry again, not quite like for food. We just kind of wanted to like snack on something. So we went to this restaurant nearby, and we ended up getting some like dessert there. And then after that, we went to like one of the museums there. They had this like museum. It was a pretty small one. It was kind of just like open to the public. You just like walk through it real quick. So we went in there. And after we walked out, I noticed something. To the right of this building we walked out of, there was 4 people sitting down on the curb right by the building. And all 4 of them, they looked like they were homeless. They were sitting there. 2 of them had signs. There was like shopping carts near them full of their belongings. Just chilling there, right? And this area was a very popular spot with homeless people because obviously there's a lot of tourists. The weather is not too bad around this time. It was very populated, so there was a lot of buses that came and went through there, so it was easy to get rides and stuff. So yeah, homeless people would usually hang out around there. And, I saw them sitting there, and one of them looked at me, and he gets up and he starts walking over to me, and he's like, "Hey man, do you have like $1?" And I genuinely didn't. So I told him, I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I don't. I just lost a lot of dollars at the casino. I'm going to be honest, man, I wish I could go back in time and give it all to you because that'd be a better use than what I just did." He starts laughing. He's like, "Oh, man, I've been there. Like, I remember back in like fucking 2006, I was in Vegas with my family and I lost like $2,000 in one night." He's like, "How much you down for?" And I was like, $1,200. He's like, "Fuck, man, that sucks." And we started having a conversation about gambling and how it's like, just evil and not a good way to spend your money, obviously. And we just had like a really, really cool conversation for like 5 minutes. And this dude was like super cool, like unbelievably chill, right? And he ends up asking us how old we are, and we all tell him. And he's like, "Oh man, like that was a good age for me. That shit was really, really fun." And I was like, "Hell yeah, dude." He's like, "Be careful with your choices. Don't end up like me." And my friend Christian kind of asks like a little nosy of a question. He's like, "If you don't mind me asking, dude, like, how did you, end up like this?" I kind of looked at him like, yo, like really? Like, I feel like that's a pretty fucking rude question to ask a homeless person. Like, "Hey dude, so like, why are you homeless?" Maybe some people wouldn't care if you asked them that. I just feel like if I was homeless, I probably wouldn't want to talk about it much because it'd probably make me upset. I don't know. But the dude was actually really cool about it. He looked at me. He's like, "No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Like, he's fine." He kind of like, knew that I was giving him that look like, yo, that was kind of rude. And the homeless dude's like, "Dude, no, like no issues at all. I'll talk about it." So basically, when I got into my 30s, I started partying a little bit too hard. I always partied growing up and stuff, but for some reason in my 30s, I met this group of friends that were definitely not the best influence on me. And through partying with them, I started missing work and, missing really important things and, developing some not so healthy habits. And just throughout the years, man, I lost a lot of my money and a lot of my real friends and real family over just partying and drinking and, doing drugs and getting wasted. And, before I knew it, I was in debt, and debt turned into more debt, and I ended up just on the streets. And I was like, "Fuck, man, I'm so sorry." And he's like, "It's all good, man. Life, it can be cruel sometimes, but I think everyone has a plan, and I don't think my life's over, and I firmly believe that I can change things." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, I believe that too. Like, for real, you can." And he's like, "Hell yeah, man." And he like fist bumped me, and this dude was just so cool. He was so cool that I was like, "You know what? I'm going to turn around. I'm going back to that museum. I'm pulling money out the ATM, and I'm giving it to this dude because this motherfucker was cool as shit." So I went back in the museum and I went to the ATM and I pulled out $100 and I got it in 20s. And I walked back out there. I gave him a 20 and all of his friends a 20. I think in total I gave away like $80. And this dude was like, he was stoked. He was like, "Dude, like, thank you so much. Like, you're so fucking awesome." He like gave me a hug. He's like, "Bro, just so you know, like, I'm not gonna use your money on any kind of bullshit that you think I might use it on. Like, I promise you I've been clean for a year. Like, on everything I love, like, I have been clean. I am using this for food and travel. I'm trying to go to LA." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, man. I hope you make it there. Like, good luck." This dude just seemed very genuine. He was a very, very, like, cool dude. So yeah, it was nice to hook them up. And like, I don't know, like 10 to 20 seconds after I gave him the money and he said all that, this guy walks by, probably like in his 30s, and he looks over at us and he sees that I like gave the dude some money. He's holding the 20 in his hand. And this guy says, "You're a fucking idiot." And he points to me and just keeps walking. To which I looked over and I was like, "Excuse me?" And the guy stops and he turns around, walks up to me, points to the 20 in the guy's hand, the homeless guy's hand. He goes, "You?" And he points to me. He goes, "Are a fucking idiot for giving him that money." And I was like, what? How? What? He's like, "Because you know what he's going to spend it on. You're a fucking idiot." He starts walking away again. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't in the mood to be nice to this guy because he clearly wasn't being nice to me. So I threw up my middle finger and I said, "Yo, dude, turn around." And he turned around and I said, "Suck my dick." Was that mature of me? Absolutely not. But this guy wasn't being very mature either. So, I don't feel that bad about it. Now, this dude comes back over to us, gets like right up in my face, and he's like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, "You heard me. Blow me. You want to walk past me and my friends and this guy and make some fucking rude ass comment because you saw me give them money? Like, what is your problem? Why is it any of your concern what I'm doing with my cash? Like, if I saw you giving anyone money, I wouldn't say you're a fucking idiot. Like, that's the rudest shit I've ever seen. Like, what is wrong with you?" And he's like, "All right, bro, calm down. Don't get your panties in a bunch. If I would have known you were going to cry this much, I wouldn't have said it. It was just a joke." I was like, "Bro, jokes are supposed to be funny, and that was just fucking lame." And my friend actually stepped up, Christian, and he was like, "Bro, just keep it moving. Like, come on, go." He's telling the dude to leave. And this dickhead's like, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere now. Like, you're telling me to leave. I'm staying right here." And I was like, "Bro, just please leave. Like, we're trying to just chill here, have a nice conversation. You're like fucking up the vibe. Like, just go. We don't want an issue with you. Just leave." And this guy's like, "Well, based on your tone, I think you do want an issue with me." I'm like, "Based on my tone, motherfucker, did you hear what you said to me first? Like, you want the problem, not me." He's like, "Yeah, well, you reciprocated." I'm like, "Yeah, because you fucking started it. Yeah, I reciprocated the energy you gave me." He's like, "Yeah, well, you were ruder." I was like, "Bro, I'm not going to sit here and argue. Just please, like, keep moving, man. We're just trying to chill here and enjoy our night. We hope you do the same. Like, have a good one." Like, trying to be cool to this dude, even though he's not being cool to me. And this guy turns around and he laughs and he goes, "All right, I'll leave. See you later. Have fun giving your money to bums." And me and my friends just kind of look at each other like, "Yo, this guy's a fucking dick." And I look over at the dude's face, the homeless dude I was talking to, and he looks obviously like visibly upset that he just got called a bum, rightfully so. And not even like an angry kind of upset. Like, he looks just sad. It low-key like broke my fucking heart to see like the look on this dude's face. Like, he looked hurt by what this random man said about him. And I turn and I look at my friends again and like they're looking, pretty like angry. And Joe, who's been pretty quiet throughout this whole thing, he's got an ice cream in his hand. He has an ice cream cone that he got like at that restaurant we had dessert at recently. And it's pretty much almost gone. It's like basically melting in his hand. There's like a little bit left at the bottom of the cone. He just mainly has the cone. And I see him wind his arm back. And I'm like, "Oh no, like he's not doing what I think he's about to do." And he just goes full like baseball pitch and fucking lets that thing rip. And Joe used to play baseball in high school and he was a fucking incredible pitcher. So I knew that when this cone landed on this man that he's throwing it at, it's gonna hurt. It was a waffle cone. It had a very pointy tip. I remember thinking like, yo, if the tip hits the guy first, Jesus Christ, this choice of words. But if the tip hits the dude first, like in the skin, that shit's going so fast, it might pierce his skin. Like, this dude has an arm on him. So yeah, Joe lets this shit rip. And luckily, the tip didn't hit first, but the cone did hit the guy in the back of his head. And this guy was bald. And this cone and ice cream just exploded on his head. Like, ice cream and waffle cone pieces went like everywhere, and there was ice cream and waffle cone on this guy's like cleanly shaven head, like just all over his like scalp. He basically looked like he was wearing a wig of ice cream now. It was just insane looking. And his immediate reaction wasn't to like turn around and scream at us or like, freak out. He just grabbed his head and he was like, "Ah, what the fuck?" Like, clearly it hurt. I'm telling you, bro, like Joe had a fucking arm on him, dude. He can throw. So I knew that shit hurt. And after like, I don't know, 10 seconds of like kind of like rubbing his head and like letting the pain subside, he turned around and he looked at all of us and he goes, "Who the fuck just threw that?" And we're all just like standing there, like not saying shit. And he walks up to me, gets in my face. He's like, "Did you do it?" And I was like, "No." And he gets up in Christian's face. He's like, "Did you?" Christian's like, "No." And he gets up in Brandon's face. He's like, "Did you do it? Fucking don't lie to me. Did you do it?" And Brandon's like, "No, man." And he gets in everybody's face. He's just like trying to figure out who did it and no one's saying anything. He's like, "Someone fucking fess up. Who the fuck did it? Someone tell me." And finally, like Joe just says it. He's like, "All right, man, look, I did it. Okay. I threw it at you. You were being a fucking dick and you don't get to treat people the way you're treating them without any consequences. So I gave you your karma. Sorry you're mad about it, but fuck you." And this dude gets up in Joe's face and he's like, "Okay, you want to hurt me? I hurt you." And he starts reaching into his pocket. And immediately, everyone turns and just runs in different directions. Because it's like, I don't know what he's getting out of his pocket. He could have something that isn't serious at all, like a pack of gum. He could have a weapon, like a knife, like a blade, or, a firearm. He could have anything in that pocket that could be not so serious or very serious. So we all just ran. Everyone, including the homeless people there, because they were fucking scared too. Like, this guy's just being a dick to them. He's being a dick to us. And then Joe made the situation go from like 100 to 1,000 because he threw an ice cream cone to the guy's head. And, you know, even though it was funny, I can't lie, it was fucking funny watching him get his karma. That wasn't the right move. Obviously, that's not the right thing to do in that situation. Not good. So yeah, everybody runs, and we all went separate ways. And I ran towards the front of the park where the entrance was, because I knew that over there was security and cops. And I figured, you know, I could tell one of them about it, that this dude's, you know, causing problems and, you know, saying he was going to hurt us and then reach into his pocket. So, you know, in case he had a weapon, I want to make sure someone knew about it, like the police or the security, whoever was there. I feel like that's a valid thing to report to them. You know, if there's an angry man who potentially might have a weapon at a big tourist attraction, I'm going to tell someone that's not okay. And right when I got up there, Christian was actually behind me. He must have like changed his course and like ran up with me. I don't know when he did that, but he caught up to me and he was with me. And he asked me like, yo, you better tell the police. I was like, I was definitely thinking about it. Yeah. He's like, what about the part where like Joe threw the ice cream at the guy? Like, he kind of started it. And I was like, yeah, I get that. But like, bro, if my friend's like safety is at risk, I feel like maybe we should tell the cops about it. And right after I said that, I see Joe running up. He runs up to us and he's like, yo, that guy's a fucking nutcase. And I was like, I know. He goes, no, bro, like he chased me. Like y'all ran, he chased me. I was like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, bro, I turned around. He had a fucking knife. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, a big one. So at this point, like, oh shit, okay, like this is real. He's like, bro, I lost him over there, but like, bro, if he sees me, I'm like worried. So Joe ends up walking up to the cop and he's like, hey, there's this guy who like started an argument with my friends and I threw something at him. I won't lie. I threw my ice cream at him. I didn't think he'd like, you know, pull a weapon. I thought he'd just want a fist fight, but he pulled a weapon. He's got a knife and he just chased me through the park with it. And this cop's like, what? Like, hold on, what? And we had to like tell the cop from start to finish everything that happened, right? And the cop like gets on his radio and like gets a bunch of other units looking around for this dude now, gave him a description. And now the cop's like searching this park for this guy that has a knife that tried to, you know, chase my friend with it. And this whole situation I just couldn't believe was unfolding. Cause it's like, you know, I expected, you know, Joe to throw the ice cream and the dude to like maybe try and fist fight him. And then we break it up and we go our separate ways, or, you know, maybe we get kicked out. I just didn't expect this to unfold the way it was unfolding. And I think this is a good time to stop real quick in the middle of the story and, you know, let y'all know that some people that walk this earth don't give a fuck. And this guy was clearly one of them. That is why sometimes in situations like this, it's better to just bite your tongue, you know, don't say anything and just get the hell out of there, you know, get out of that situation. Because if we did that, even though we'd be pissed that we let the guy walk away without any consequence of being an asshole, you know, my boy would have gotten chased with a knife. Anyway, the cops like fan out looking for this dude in the park, right? And for like 20 minutes, we had to stand there with this cop and just like wait. Meanwhile, one of our friends is still missing. Yeah, Brandon is just still gone. We have no idea where he's at. So we're like, what the fuck, man? And the cops are looking for this guy with the knife, and they're also looking for our friend Brandon, because obviously he was involved, and we don't know if he's safe or not. And we're just standing there. And finally, like 25, 30 minutes in, I hear the cop talk to some guy on his radio, and he looks at me, and he's like, they got him. And I was like, who? And he's like, the dude, the guy with the knife. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And like 2 minutes later, I look to my left, and I see him getting walked over in handcuffs to like the little police like office thing at the front gate. And they go in there with him. And I'm like, holy shit, you guys actually did get him. And the cop's like, yeah, we did. Like, I don't lie. So then some other cops walked over to us, and Joe had to like explain the whole thing again to them and like kind of give his whole side of the story. And when he got to the part about throwing the ice cream at the guy's head, they laughed, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Like, I thought the cops would be way more pissed about that. But given the context of the situation, they thought it was funny. Don't get me wrong. After they laughed, they definitely locked in and they were like, you know, you can't do that. You can't do that to someone. Like, that's not okay. But also they understood that the guy took it 10 steps further and pulled a knife. So, you know, they were also pretty sympathetic about that. Anyway, this guy ended up getting arrested and driven out of there in a police car and charged because the knife that he had on him was illegal. Not only was it illegal to have on the premises, because you're not supposed to have weapons in this park, but it's also illegal to own the type of knife that he had in my state. He had a switchblade, and that is illegal as fuck. So he got in some trouble. He got in a lot of trouble. And while this was all happening, finally we found Brandon. Brandon walked up to us, and he was like, bro, I've been looking for y'all for like a minute. And I was like, dude, the guy got arrested. He's like, what? Really? I was like, yeah, bro. And Brandon's like, what? Like, where is he? I was like, bro, he's right over there, like that little like police office thing. Like, he's in there. And he's like, holy shit. And yeah, we watched this dude like get walked out in cuffs, driven out of there. We found Brandon. Everything was good. Everything was like concluding in a very good way, right? And just when I thought like, we were about to like walk out of this completely fine, one of the cops walks over to us and he's like, "Who's the dude that threw the ice cream again?" And Joe points himself out. He's like, "I did, officer." And the cop goes, "Yeah, you can't do that. I understand the guy was being an asshole. And, I would have probably done the same thing at your age. I get it. But you're still throwing something at another adult. You're throwing food at somebody. Like you're assaulting them. You can't do that. Not okay." And Joe's like, "I understand, officer. Like, I'm really sorry." And the officer ends up taking Joe into the police like booth thing, the same one that guy was just handcuffed in. And I'm like, oh shit, like, is he about to go to jail for throwing ice cream at this guy? Like, yo, this isn't good. And they're in there for like 25 minutes, bro. And we're all just standing out there. And like, I remember at one point, Brandon asked one of the other cops, he's like, "Yo, like, is our friend like gonna go to jail?" And the cop's like, "I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know." And we're all really nervous because like, bro, we don't want to see Joe go to jail, right? Like, we didn't think he would. We knew he'd get in trouble and maybe like, warned, but, throwing an ice cream versus chasing with a knife, we thought, they'd cut him a break. And after like 25, 30 minutes, they finally come out of that little booth, Joe and this cop, and Joe's not in handcuffs or anything, so that's a good sign. And, the cop's walking him back over to us, and the cop walks up to all of us and he goes, "All right, look, your buddy's getting a big break today, okay? But he's still banned from the park. So you guys all got to leave with him." Yeah, he banned Joe from this park, or the security did or something. I don't know, but he got banned. And honestly, even though that sucks, because this was a really cool park and a big tourist attraction, and a lot of people like to go there, that's a really good deal considering he essentially assaulted someone. I think the cops gave him the biggest break he could have gotten. To be honest, they probably weren't even supposed to do that. They're probably supposed to just charge you, but he just, for some reason, got a pass. I'm assuming it's because of the context of the situation, the fact that this guy started the argument and was being extremely rude, and, he had a knife, so it's like an illegal one too. So I think all that, kind of made him go easier on Joe, but still, he got banned from the park, so sucks to be Joe. We didn't. Luckily, we all didn't. So yeah, we had to leave. And the story time doesn't end there. I know you think it probably does, but just keep listening. So we start getting escorted out by the police, right? And on the way out, we see that homeless dude, the really cool one. And he runs up to us. He's like, "Oh, you guys are leaving? Like, thank you again so much, man." He like dapped me up. And the cop sees him and he's like, "Is this the homeless dude that you were talking about earlier? The one that the guy was being rude about?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, he's one of them." And the cop's like, "Oh, well, I'm sorry that guy was being a jerk to you." And he shook the homeless guy's hand. So this cop was pretty cool. Anyway, after this, the cop escorted us all out, and we got in our car and we left. And I remember as we were pulling out of the parking lot, we're all just talking about the insanity of what just happened, right? Like just the craziness. And we're driving out of there, and I look over at Joe and I was like, "Bro, I don't think you understand how lucky you are." He's like, "I know, right? Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, I thought I was going to jail." I was like, "Bro, I thought you were going to jail. Like, you're lucky as fuck." He's like, "Yeah, man, like, I'm counting my blessings tonight. Like, that shit's crazy." And Brandon's up front. He's like, "Bro, like, no one's luckier than Joe. I swear. Like, every time some shit goes down, this dude finds his way to weasel his way out of it. Like, he's never in any bad situations. Like, he's just the luckiest dude on earth." And I was like, "Shit, bro, give me some. I'm not that lucky." And then Christian's like, "Yeah, bro, we know. Look at your wallet." And we all started dying laughing because, he's making fun of me for losing $1,200 that night at the casino. And then Joe's like, "Nah, but for real, like, Austin is one of the most unlucky motherfuckers on earth. Anytime I'm with him, some shit goes down." And I was like, "Hey, man, I swear it's not my fault." And right after I say that, bro, I'm not even kidding. We're at a red light. Somebody crashes into our car. Literally all of us get thrown forward because some dude behind us didn't hit his brakes fast enough, and he slammed into the back of fucking Brandon's car. Now immediately I'm looking around like, "Is everyone okay? Everyone okay?" And everyone's fine, luckily. And Brandon looks at me and he goes, "Dude, no fucking way." And I'm just like, "I'm sorry, bro." Like, we were just talking about how unlucky I am, and then he gets hit by a fucking person from behind. Now we all end up jumping out of the car, and I see this guy get out, probably about, 50 years old, maybe 60. He gets out, he walks up to Brandon. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry, man. Like, my brakes just stopped working or something. I don't know what's going on in my car." And Brandon's like, "It's all right, man. Shit happens. I get it. What's your insurance info?" And they start exchanging information because, that's what you do when you get in an accident. You got to exchange insurances and stuff and make sure you get each other's info because, it's got an accident. It's pretty serious. And like 5 minutes later, the police pulled up because they had to make a police report and stuff. And we were there for about an hour on the side of the road, talking to the cop, talking to each other, just sitting there. And I remember at one point I'm sitting there and Brandon walks over to me and he's like, "Bro, we can never hang out again." He's like, "You're just too unlucky." And I was like, "Bro, it's not my fault." And he starts laughing. He was obviously just fucking with me. But yeah, man, it was just funny. Like, we were literally having a conversation about how I was unlucky, and then that happened. And it was a pretty fucking gnarly fender bender, man. Like, you know, it's not like he had a little dent in his car. Like, this guy really hit Brandon's backside. So his fucking car, like the back bumper, it was pretty fucked up. Now, luckily, it still drove, so we were able to drive out of there. That was good. Like, after, you know, everything was all said and done, the police report was made, the insurances were exchanged, and everything was all good to go. We were both able to drive out of there. Both cars were still in driving condition, so that was good. So we drove home. We spent the rest of that night just chilling at my house, not doing a whole lot, just kind of winding down from, you know, the chaos of what that day was and that night, you know, like it was so insane. We just had to wind down for the rest of the night, just chill and do nothing. And we ended up all hanging out the next day as well. And kind of the same deal. We just kind of kicked it, had a chill day because, you know, after what happened, we didn't really want to do a whole lot. We kind of just wanted to like enjoy the fact that everyone was okay. And also eventually, like, I don't know, a week or two later, Brandon was able to get his car fixed. So that was good. Like after like, I don't know, a week or two or something, he got it fixed and it got like fully fixed. It looked great. It looked better than before. So it's good to know that like, you know, his car wasn't totaled. You know, he got lucky in that sense. It's weird. Like my stories, there's a lot of unluckiness, but there's a lot of luckiness as well. So, you know, he got lucky there. But overall, everybody was okay. Brandon's car was okay. Joe was okay. The dude with the knife got arrested. I feel like all in all, everything in this story time concluded the best way it could have. And yeah, I remember, you know, after everything took place, for the next like couple days, like I said, we just chilled. We didn't want to do anything because like, bro, I didn't want anything else to happen, bro. I felt like that group of, you know, friends I had was like cursed now or something. But yeah, in the end, everyone was okay. That's all that matters. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the story time, you know? Pretty crazy shit, pretty wild shit. Every time I go back to that place now, that park, I just think about, you know, what happened. And whenever I do go back, I can't go with Joe because he is still banned to this day. Like he was genuinely banned, not kicked out, not suspended, banned. They took his name, they took his ID, they took photos of him, they got all his info. And if he ever walks in that park, he can get arrested. So yeah, he's banned. So when I go back, I just think about how I can't go there with him anymore and how crazy that whole experience was. But there's a few morals to this story. I think moral number one, like I said earlier in the story, you know, sometimes in situations like this, it's better to just keep your mouth shut, exit the situation as quickly as possible, and get out of there. Because sometimes people are, you know, unhinged. And that guy, the guy with the guy that got the ice cream thrown at his head, he was pretty unhinged in my opinion. But also people like Joe exist and, you know, they might throw ice cream at you. So, you know, you might not want to get in arguments if you can avoid them. Overall, I think the whole situation was handled very poorly, not only from that guy's end, but my end as well. Like when he said that shit to me about, you know, being a fucking idiot, should I have told him to suck my dick and, you know, talk shit back? No. That's not the right thing to do, obviously. But, you know, I was young and full of attitude and I was pissed off. So sometimes humans make mistakes. But yeah, moral of the story in that regard, you know, try and avoid these confrontations if you can. Definitely try and avoid them. Moral number 2, don't bring weapons into public places like that guy did. That is fucked up. Moral number 3, always look at the road in front of you when you're driving. Don't get distracted and make sure you have your foot on the brake if you have to brake. And for a meme, moral of the story, ice cream is food, not a weapon. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the story time. Definitely a wild one, crazy one. Definitely moments where it's kind of funny. It's got a little bit of everything in my opinion. And I hope you all enjoyed it. If you enjoyed listening to this, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below and subscribe if you're new. I'll see y'all later. Peace.